Okay, so this is our ozone maximizer. We have a lot of different things to cover. Um, there's a bunch of different limiter settings here. We have the IRC-LL, which stands for low latency, meaning that it's going to be best for uh, if you're like working with this on your track as your track's playing and you want to have that really quick response, no latency virtually. This is the setting for you. This one is going IRC1 is going to give you the most control over the transients while still lowering the release time on the more sustained sounds. So it's going to give you a more balanced limiting experience. The IRC2 is similar to the IRC1, except it's going to give you a lot more clear representation on the high end. And the IRC3 is different than these guys because it's going to be the most CPU intensive out of all four, and it's going to be the most aggressive. Which we have the least aggressive setting right here at pumping, and then it goes all the way up to clipping, which is the most aggressive setting. Balanced is going to give you just like it says, like a really balanced, even limiting experience, and the crisp is going to emphasize the high end, while the clipping is just going to crush the signal. And all of these have their place for different types of music, whatever the end result is. So the modern is or the IRC4 is has three different modes: classic, modern, and transient. Classic is going to give you that the emulation of the classic Ozone 5 limiter that's still in use in a lot of studios today. Modern setting is going to give you the uh, it's more of a balance in between the classic and the transient. The transient is going to give you the control over those transients to make sure that they stick out in the mix the most. Um, but all of these are great limiters. You just want to make sure you choose the right one. Right here we have learn threshold function, so you can target. It's already set to -14 LUFS, which is the target for streaming now. Um, I mean, typically this is a little bit quieter than I would like it. Let's turn it on and see how it fares against our track here. So it looks like our threshold is at -2.1, which isn't. I mean, I think we're peaking at like. Yeah, it looks like we'd be peaking at -5 dB, which is not ideal for, at least for me. I mean, I want my tracks to be louder, and I think we could afford to limit this a little bit more. But again, it's all based on taste and what exactly you're going for. Maybe if you're doing an acoustic album, and you don't want it to be super loud and crushed, and you want it to be extremely dynamic, or you're mastering some orchestral type stuff, and uh, you want to have a lot of dynamics and a lot of movement, and you don't want that to be crushed by the limiter. These are all different settings, and it all just applies to the whatever type of music you're making. So right here we have our character control, which is going to affect the release time of our limiter. And over here we have our stereo independent settings. So we can affect the transients and sustains separately. We can maybe we want more emphasis on the transients or more emphasis on the sustained. It's just um, it all just it all depends on which ones you're again, like if you got something that's got a lot of drums in it, or you got more of a the drums are kind of in the background. That those are individual settings that you need to decide for yourself, essentially. And then transient emphasis right here. This is just going to affect the limiter's response to transients, and it's going to either smoothen them out or sharpen them, depending on where you or the amount that you choose to set it to. So why don't we try to get some settings dialed in here? I also forgot to mention too that the stereo independence also uh, limits the stereo information and the mono information differently, dependent on where you adjust the transient and sustain settings. So that is something else to keep in mind. It's tough to A/B these because the audio shuts off every time you switch the limiter, but you can kind of hear the differences as as we switch through these. There are a lot of great settings in here. So I chose, I guess to wrap this up, I chose not to cover the spectral shaper because it behaves so much like a compressor um, that it seemed redundant to cover it. So plus we're a little bit pressed for time here. This is already a pretty long course. So anyways, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this course. I hope you learned something. I'm trying to get better at mastering every single day. It's a really difficult task, but I mean the more you work on it, the better you'll get at it, and that's what I'm trying to do too. I'm right there with you guys. So I will see you guys in the next course. Peace.